Good morning, Metal Summoners. Thank you so much for tuning in with us as a special morning edition of the Metal Summit. But that's just here in the States. Thank you so much, as always, to our European metalheads that are joining us in more of a mid-afternoon range. We really appreciate all the love, whether it's from Europe, whether it's from the States, and all the support that you guys give these shows to allow myself and Angel to continue with such amazing guests and such amazing interviews. So thank you guys so much. Welcome back again to our Island of Misfit Toys for myself and Angel. It's going to be a great one. And we're going to jump right into it and get everything rocked off for you guys. So hopefully all you Metal Summoners have your coffee cups, our Metal Summit little coffee cup, and let's have a little bit of fun. So first and foremost, we definitely want to appreciate his time and honor it. Steve Mann, Lionheart, thank you so much, sir. Welcome to the Metal Summit, and thank you for your time.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. It's great to talk to you.
Absolutely. We're super duper excited to talk to you as well. I've been listening to songs on the record. I really, really love how the record came out. You know, I mean, Angel and I are big like 80s fans when it comes to that kind of like style. We love that music. I'm also into like a lot of like kind of darker stuff as well, but I love the style and the sound that the record's coming across. So first and foremost, Lionheart's been around actually since the 80s, but Phil, talk to us a little bit about the Lionheart currently.
You're right. We have been together since 1980. Late 1980 was when we first got the band going. In 85, we kind of took a hiatus. We didn't really break up as such, but we took a hiatus. We kept in contact with each other, but didn't actually work on anything. In 2016, we got a call from a guy called Dave Harron, who was co-promoting the Rockingham Festival in the UK. And he'd been a Lionheart fan since the 80s. And he's a friend of Rocky, the bass player, Rocky Newton, the bass player. Mm-hmm. And he said, what do you think the possibility would be of getting the band back together again, just to do one show? And Rocky said, well, I'll ask the guys. So he did. And we all thought it was a great idea. You know, why not? And so we got back together for that one gig. And we thought that would be it. We thought we'd do the show and you know, go home, and that would be it for another 30 years with Lionheart. We got so many requests on social media and, you know, all different sorts of places from people saying, you know, that was amazing. You have to do an album. So we did. You know, we thought, why not? And we did an album which was a bit of a hookup between what we're doing in the 80s, and we wrote some new songs for it too. And that did really, really well. And we just carried on from there. We really enjoyed doing that album. You know, we weren't sure at first if it was all going to work and if the whole thing would fall to pieces again, but it worked really well. We got on with each other. Musically, we worked really well together. So we went on and did the Reality of Miracles. And now we're on our third reunion album, which is The Grace of a Dragonfly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so when Angel and I put out the guest announcement, you know, social post to let everybody know that you were going to be on the show, I used V for Victory as the song that was playing in the background of like our IG posts and stuff like that. It also is like the current single. So how talk a little bit about the release of V for Victory and how's the reception been?
It's been amazing. You know, we had a good reception for Second Nature. We had probably a better reception for the Reality of Miracles. This one has just been out of the park. It's you know, we've just been so happy with the response that we've got. We've, you know, again on social media, we got people making some really, really great comments about the album, what they've heard so far. We have the third single coming out tomorrow, which is Little Ships. V is for Victory was the second single. First single was the first single was the first single. What was the first single? It's complete. I'll tell you in a minute. But no, the response has been absolutely fantastic. You know, we've been very pleased, and we can't wait for the album to come out. It comes out in 2 weeks' time. And we'll just see what the response is to that. But we're expecting good things based on what's happened so far.
Absolutely, for sure. So just
it was Flight 19. It's just popped in my head.
Oh, there we go. Flight 19.
Had a bit of a mental block there.
Hey, that's okay. So one of the things that has been a very kind of interesting question that Angel and I have kind of worked into our shows, because it covers such a unique ground depending on personal opinion, is somebody like yourself that goes all the way back to like the golden age of vinyl when it comes to record releases, and then performing with your bands up all the way to current present. What's your thought process when it comes to releases? Do you still find yourself to be a big supporter and advocator for physical and full albums? Because there's a lot of curiosities nowadays of like singles, just kind of releasing singles as we go, or building up to a full release. What's kind of your take on it, Steve?
I mean, I will always be a fan of physical product. I mean, you can't beat it. I mean, you have the thing in your hands, and you have all the lyrics there, and if you're lucky, you have good artwork. In our case, we have a guy called Tristan Greatrex, who's probably got to be one of the finest album sleeve designers in the UK, certainly. I mean, maybe the world even. Just does phenomenal work, and he's a massive Lionheart fan. He came to us for Second Nature and said, have you thought about your artwork yet? And we said, no, not yet. And he just offered to do it for us, and the results have been amazing. If you stream it, you don't buy the physical product, you don't get any of that. You just hear it as part of a playlist or whatever, and it becomes a bit anonymous. You don't really find out about the band. You don't find out about the songs. You don't really, understand the lyrics unless you follow them through. There's so much information on a physical product that enhances the album, and that's obviously when I was growing up and buying albums, I couldn't wait to get it home, put it on, and then just sit there with the album cover, just reading all the information about who did what and all this stuff. I think it's a shame that streaming has become so prevalent. It's got its place. I stream from Spotify. I discover new bands on Spotify. But if I become interested in the band, I think the thing to do is to always go out and buy the product, and it helps the band. Bands don't earn anything from streaming, so
Right.
I think streaming has its place. It's great for discovering new bands, but there's absolutely nothing like holding the vinyl album or even the CD in your hands and having the physical product.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one. Like I'm a big like CD fan, physical copy, love vinyls because especially, CDs, you still get lyrics and artwork and amazing pictures, but vinyls, they're this big. So you get like those pictures and stuff like that. And as well as
like me, that's very good.
Yes, absolutely. And as well as being like a big like movie fan as well. I love collecting, physical movies for my collection. And my girlfriend Megan, bless her heart, tolerates it where she's like, God, you're buying more movies. We barely have enough room as it is. I was like, we're getting shelves and I will fix all of that.
Yeah, right.
But we're definitely with you when it comes to like, that physical copy and that physical, product to really like enjoy. And before I kick it over to Angel, with the album coming out in 2 weeks, are you pressing just CDs? Are you doing vinyls as well?
We're doing vinyls as well. I mean, the demand for vinyl is so big these days, and there was a problem 2 or 3 years ago with the speed of getting vinyl pressed up, and it would. I think it was like an 8-month, 9-month lead-in period before you could get vinyls manufactured. Now that's become a lot better. I'm not quite sure why, but it has. So our record company, they said, yeah, there's a big demand for vinyl, so we'll do CDs and vinyl, which is great. I mean, I think it's good to cater for both types of people. There's probably a lot of people that if they can't get the vinyl, they'll stream it instead. So it's I think it's a wise move to release vinyl and CDs.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Angel, let's kick it over to you, my friend. Give you a little bit of time because I know you're pulling double duty with work as well. So I appreciate it, man.
Just want to say thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Angel. Yeah, it's great to talk to you guys.
So as far as touring, what are the plans as far as hitting the road?
Yeah, we're seriously thinking about it this year. It's been a bit tough for us because we're all involved in different projects. I mean, Dennis is involved in his kind of Maiden United projects, and Rocky's with Grand Slam. I'm with Michael Schenker. So it's all a bit difficult because we're all touring at different times with those other bands. This year, it's all become a little bit less intense with those bands. So we have some time this year. So we're thinking that we're going to really seriously, once the album is out, look at putting some dates together. We've got a festival already in the UK called Firefest. That's in October. So we're going to try and get some dates in this year. Yeah, that's right. So keep a lookout on our social media. We'll be announcing everything there.
Okay. So we're touring. Can we expect to see Lionheart in the States?
Would be great. Yeah, I mean, we just love to tour. We're hoping to get to Japan at some point. UK obviously, and States is definitely on our bucket list of places to go and play. Lionheart's never. We've been to the States obviously to record the Hot Tonight album, which we did in Los Angeles, but we've never actually toured in the States as Lionheart. So that's definitely on our list of places to go to. Yep.
Sure. That's exciting. So it would be the first US tour.
It would be the first US tour for Lionheart. Yeah, that's right. I mean,
we would have to be at the opening. Road trip.
Road trip.
Yeah, it's where are you guys based? You're based in Baltimore, or did I read it?
I live in in Maryland, just outside of Baltimore, and Angel lives in New Jersey.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We I think we played there a couple of years ago with Michael Schenker.
You did at the Fillmore Silver Spring.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it's a great gig. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Yeah, were you there?
I was. I love. I'm actually a big Michael Schenker fan. I have been for many years. I actually have a replica of one of his guitars right behind me.
Ah, great. Yeah. I think we're all Michael Schenker fans.
Absolutely, for sure. So actually, because I definitely wanted to just touch base on that just for my own kind of fandom. But since we kind of bridged into it, can we talk for a moment on just playing with Michael and your experience with that band?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's been nothing but fantastic. It's he is one of the best guitar players in the world, if not the best guitar player in the world. I love melody. I'm a big Gary Moore fan. I've always been a fan of Michael anyway. And obviously I was in the band first in 1986 in the Macaulay Schenker group for about 4 or 5 years. And then again in 2016, that was the year that everything kicked off again with Lionheart and also with Michael Schenker Fest, which he invited me to join. And I was really happy to see that Michael was permanently past his wayward phase. He'd settled down, he got himself together. He was completely off the booze and the drugs and everything else that he was doing. And had become a really nice, friendly guy and a really good friend. So there was a real kind of band feel, when we had the other guys came in for MSG, and we go out and we tour. It's a great band feeling, it's we all feel very close with each other, and Michael kind of becomes one of the boys. So, and musically, of course, I've always loved MSG. I mean, everything that MSG has done, I from the first album onwards, I just absolutely loved. So for me, it's a particular thrill to play in the band, and I love working with Michael. We will sit down and work out some guitar harmonies or rhythm parts where the two guitars work together. Michael is always very, very insistent as well with our front of the house guy that the two guitars are the same volume. A lot of guys will think, oh, it's Michael Schenker, up with the fader and down with the other guy. But Michael's always very, very strict on that the two guitars have to work with each other. And so they have to be the same volume. So, at least with MSG, I know when I'm playing on stage, I'm being heard out front, which is not always the case. But no, it's great. I mean, it's been a great experience for me, right? Right from the very beginning.
Awesome. Metal Summoner fans, Lionheart fans, Steve Mann fans, we're going to kick it back over to Angel shortly, but it is also, I wanted to let you guys know, for any questions, comments, anything that you want to say to Steve, make sure that you guys get those into the comments so that we see them and we can have them have those questions answered by Steve, because we do have him on limited time today. It's not not crazy limited, but we want to make sure that we respect his time slot. So if there's anything that you want to ask Steve, make sure you get it into the comments so Angel and I see it. And to steer it back a little bit towards instruments, Steve, because you play guitar as well as keyboards as well. Which one of those was like your first, or did you start with another instrument?
I actually started with classical piano. I had 7 years of classical piano, and then I discovered guitar. I never practiced, by the way. It's so what anyone else would learn in a year, that's what I learned in 7 years, because I used to practice 10 minutes before going for my piano lesson. So I should have been a lot better. And I wasn't fascinated by it. When I was 15, I bought my first electric guitar, and that was it. It was love at first sight, and it's been love ever since. So even though I started with piano and keyboards, if you like, guitar always has been and always will be my main instrument.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Steve, we do have a question from Lisa Melchert. She wanted to know, what do you like most about being a musician?
Yeah. Hi, Lisa. It's what it does to your soul. That's the only way I can describe it. Is if I spend a day in the studio creating or writing, or if I'm playing on stage, or even if I'm listening to music. But in particular, I think when I'm in the studio creating, it enriches your soul. That's the only way I can describe it. Your heart gets bigger. Your energy increases, your feeling of euphoria just kind of increases. So, if I were to spend a day on the computer and just kind of, doing other work or typing letters or emails or whatever, at the end of the day, I feel exhausted. If I'm in the studio working, at the end of the day, I can go for a 5-mile run. I just feel so exhilarated, and it's like a drug. I mean, I know a lot of other people would say the same thing, but that's what it is for me. It's a real natural drug that just gives me a natural high.
Nice. Very, very cool. Angel, let's kick it back up to you, my friend.
I just want to ask, when you're recording, like, when do you know when a song is finished, and when do you know to just put it to the side for another day?
I always put songs aside for another day, because once you've been working on a song for a number of hours, a certain number of hours, you can't hear it objectively anymore. And I kind of learned that the hard way back in the 70s and 80s when I was first recording. And you think it might be sounding great, and you put it aside for a couple of days, come back to it, and straight away you hear all the things that are wrong with it. So I've got this kind of, I always work on different songs at the same time. So I can do a few hours on one song, put it to bed for a while, do another song, put that to bed for a while. So I always come back with this objective ear for what I'm doing. And for me, songs are very rarely finished. I'll still listen to songs on the Second Nature album and think, oh yeah, a little guitar line there would be great, or a vocal harmony, would be fantastic. So I'm always still working on the songs. So I have to get them to a point where I think, okay, they're good enough. I can send them off to the record company and they can release the album. And obviously, at some point, they have to do that. But I never really listen to one of the songs I've done and think, yeah, that's absolutely 100% complete. There's always that 0.1% that I still want to do to it.
When it comes to guitars, what's your favorite guitar to use when you're in the studio and on the road?
Yeah, it's this little baby. It's a Nemesis. There's a little story to it. We're in Japan with Michael Schenker, and I took my 2 Jackson soloists over there with me, and then we flew back from Sapporo. And when I got back home, I checked 2 guitars in, and only one arrived. And there was we worked out actually, and apparently this is not uncommon, that the guitar was stolen in Beijing. And apparently they take them apart and they work out how they're wired and everything else, and then they make copies. This was the story I heard anyway. So whatever happened, I lost one of those Jackson soloists, which was a valuable guitar. It was it's one of the first ever built. It's from 1988 or 89, something like that. And so I needed a replacement. And there was a guitar builder in the UK called Nick Prendergast, and he runs Nemesis Guitars. And he said to me, I'd love to build you a guitar. Just tell me exactly what you want. So I gave him the exact specs that I wanted. Took him about a year and a half. We're in constant contact. And he presented me the guitar when I was in the UK one time. And that was it. It was just that finally I'd got my absolute perfect guitar. And I haven't used anything else since. I've got 16 guitars here. And, I use some of the others for different tunings or different sounds, but I always go back to the Nemesis. That's my little baby.
Nice. Actually, Angel, let me piggyback off that real quick because I have to ask, having that unfortunate situation with your guitar getting stolen in China, did that change the way you travel with your instruments?
Yeah, it did. I had to kind of get strict about it, and I made a rule that I either flew direct with no transfer, so that once the guitar was checked in, there was no connection airport where they could have it off, or they bought a seat for it. The office bought a seat for it. So I always do one of those two things. And if there is a connection somewhere, then the guitar goes with me on the plane. It's double the price. But at least I get 2 meals. I make use of it, So,
Nice.
But yeah, it has changed. I'm a lot more careful these days.
Absolutely, for sure. Go ahead, Angel. Let me kick it with you.
Can you talk about some of the other songs that are on the record that we're definitely looking forward to hearing?
Yeah, of course. I've got a list of songs here. I think one of my lyrically, one of my favorite songs, because the whole album has a war theme. It's basically about the Second World War, but it's an anti-war album. So it's a kind of themed album. There's a song called Just a Man, which is one of the earlier songs that we wrote. And it's basically the story of a German pilot who crashed in fields in England, southern England. And there was a farmer working on his fields. And he saw the German pilot walking towards him. And the German pilot said, look, I know you've got to arrest me and hand me in, but don't fear me. I'm just a man like you, And the whole purpose of the song is, the message is, we're not different types of people. We're not different races. We're not different colors. We're not different religions. We're all mankind together. And the story develops throughout the song where he turns him in, obviously, to the authorities, but they keep each other's contact details. And after the war is over, they contact each other and they meet up and they become firm friends for the rest of their lives. And that's a kind of allegory, if you like, for what we're trying to put across with the album. That what war is just stupid. It's why? What's the point of sit down around a table, discuss things, come to a conclusion, but don't kill 100,000 innocent people in the process, and destroy whole countries. So that's very much the message of the album. But that's one of my favorite tracks is Just a Man. Would you like to talk about some of the other songs on the album?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. V is the Victory is another one that I absolutely love. It's just because I think it's I see you there, Jay.
Yes.
It's just
I love that song.
Absolutely. It's got everything, everything about it for me is good. It's got the massive chorus. It's got dynamics. It comes down in the verse. It's got great lyrics. I was very happy with that guitar solo. It's sing along. I never get fed up with it. I can hear it as many times as I like. I never get fed up with it. So I just think that for me is probably the highlight song of the whole album. It's just it's a feel good song. And that's what I like about it. And the single that's coming out tomorrow, Little Ships, it's quite similar. Of the two, personally, I probably prefer V is for Victory, but Little Ships is also a song in the same vein, that big sing-along chorus, so that's another favorite of mine. Eagle's Nest is that's a very kind of laid back. That's as close as we get to a ballad on the album, and that's about Hitler's little house that he had in South Germany, where he used to, hatch his plans for European domination. And there's a great line in that from Lee that goes, "How can such beauty be the beating heart of so much?" How's it go? Be the beating heart. Anyway, it's the lyrics are beautiful and very, very descriptive. And Lee writes kind of big, colourful lyrics. That's the only way I can put it. And in Eagle's Nest, I think he does an exceptional job on that one. What else do we have? We got it starts with Declaration, which a lot of people keep telling me is a rip-off of Love to Love from UFO. It didn't occur to me. But when I listen back to it now, yeah, they're probably right. Maybe it was back in my head there somewhere. But yeah, that's a good song. They're all good songs. We don't have any fillers on Lionheart albums. We probably write twice the number of songs that we actually need for the album, and half of them get thrown out because there might be good songs, but they're not great songs. And we only want great songs on the album, and that's one reason why it takes us so long to do an album. Anything that is in any way filler material, out it goes, and we write something else. So that's probably I mean, that kind of gives you a rough idea of the songs that are on the album.
For sure, definitely. Angel, you want to call out that question, my guy?
Yeah, when you feel an idea for a song, do you play it first on the guitar and then add lyrics?
I'm actually not involved. I'm not a great lyric writer. In fact, my lyrics are trite. I'm useless, so I don't even try. I can write melodies, but Lee writes much better melodies than me. So the way Lee and I work as a songwriting partnership is that I just write a backing track. And I write it with kind of in my head, I'm hearing a kind of melody of some sort that just kind of helps to define how the verse goes, how the bridge should pace, and how it should go into the chorus. I then send that to Lee, and Lee just he says to me that inspires him. As soon as he hears the backing track, he's got in his head how he can hear the song going, and usually within about 2 or 3 hours, he'll send me the final vocal to the track, which is amazing. Whether I write on guitar or keyboards, that very much depends on the feel of the track. Sometimes I'll write a keyboards riff, and it might be an up-tempo one, it might be a ballad, but I'll write a keyboards riff and then fill it in with the guitar, and the guitar itself then kind of becomes quite riffy, so the two work quite well together. Or I'll just write the riff on guitar and just play the whole thing through on guitar and use keyboards just to fill in a bit of texture afterwards.
Absolutely, for sure. Fans, just want to give you guys a heads up. It is last call for alcohol. We appreciate all your guys' participation, but when it comes to any questions for Steve, this is the time to get them in, so that way we make sure that they're answered. But it is last call for alcohol when it comes to any questions, comments, anything you want to say to Steve, because we definitely want to respect his time. Steve, how did 519 become the first single?
Okay, we just kind of expanding on what I just said about all the songs being good. Everybody has a different idea for what the single should be. So we literally kind of ran a poll, and each of us in the band just put our top 3 tracks, and we all picked different tracks. But there came out a couple of songs, which was Flight 19 and V is for Victory, which got more votes than the rest. So we then gave it to the record company and said to the record company, okay, there's 3 singles that we've picked. And which 2 do you want as the singles? Because originally they wanted 2 singles, and they couldn't make up their minds. So they just said, look, let's just release all 3. So that's basically, it was a kind of democratic decision, I think, between the band and the record company as to what the 3 singles should be. And then we left it to the record company, the order in which they wanted to release the singles. And they chose Flight 19 as the first one.
Oh, very, very cool. Yeah, no, it's very cool. Like, yeah, I love V for Victory. I definitely am on your same level as far as listening to that track without getting tired of it. But Flight 19 is definitely an awesome one for sure. So you're also, and as like kind of like a final thing for myself, and then I'll kick it up to Angel, is you're living in Germany. How did you settle in Germany? Is that because of your playing with Michael?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was living in the UK when I first joined the Macaulay Schenker group, and Michael was based in Hanover because he was being helped out by Rudolf Schenker from the Scorpions, and Rudolf was allowing him to use his personal studio to put demos together, and so that's why Michael was in Hanover. So we used to come over, spend a lot of time over here, and we had a hotel first of all, and then they got us a house because we were spending so much time in Hanover. And the rest of the guys kind of, went back to England in between times. I actually set up a studio here, my first 24-track studio with a couple of friends. And I also met my future wife. And so my ties to Hanover just kind of became stronger and stronger. And I never actually decided to move here. I just ended up staying here. And obviously I've kind of, registered now. In the meantime, Michael went to Brighton in the UK. I went, oh, it's nice here, and decided to move to Brighton. So now, back in the 80s, I had to travel from the UK to Hanover to work with him. Now I have to travel from Hanover back to the UK to work with him. So one of these days, we'll probably end up in the same country.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. That's super duper fun. We got one more question from Lisa, and then Angel, why don't you pick it up after this, which is what's on your bucket list?
Is that from Lisa?
Yes.
Yeah, good question, Lisa. What's on my bucket list? A lot of the stuff I've done. I'm very happy to say, my bucket list started way back in the 70s, and I've ticked off most of those. There is one which I haven't ticked off yet, and I don't know whether I'll ever tick it off. Is to play with the Beatles.
Nice.
I was always a massive Beatles fan, right from when I was about 6 years old. And there's only two left now, obviously, so they're fading fast. But yeah, I've always wanted to play with Paul McCartney. I just thought he was fantastic. Amazing voice, amazing songwriter, great guitar player, great bass player, great drummer. And just to play with the Beatles, I think, would be the one thing left. Ringo would be fine as well. If I've got the chance to play with Ringo, it doesn't really matter. But as long as it's one of the two remaining Beatles, that is the last remaining thing on my bucket list.
Very cool. Right on, man. Go ahead, Angel.
I just want to say, man, thank you for your time. When you guys do the U.S. tour, can me and Jay host it? That would be so freaking awesome. That's on my bucket list.
When you say host it, what you mean? What, play
introduce the band?
Like
introduce the band.
Yeah, like introduce you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're there. Yeah, when we come over, yeah, just hook up again, and we'll have you introduce us. That's no problem. That'd be great.
Yes, Angel.
Just wanted to say, man, that's so awesome.
No, I'd love it.
You just made my day.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome, Angel. I'm sure you do a better job than any of us. That's for sure.
No, absolutely. We got one more pop up, Steve, and then we'll cut you loose so you can enjoy your day. And that's where would you say a venue's at that you would most like to play?
Oh, I think that's got to be Budokan. I always, just due to circumstances in the past, I missed out on playing Budokan in Tokyo, and most other places that I wanted to play, I've played, but that's the one that has evaded me so far. So I think, and I know that Michael, funny enough, Michael was asked the same question in an interview about a year ago, and his answer was exactly the same. So I'm hopeful. I know he would love to play there again. It's the one place that I've always wanted to play as well. So hopefully that will work out. Will be great.
Definitely, for sure, because it's also got such an amazing history of talent that have played there and done albums there, from like Cheap Trick to Ozzy Osbourne.
I mean, there you go. You know, I mean, the place is a legend in itself. So, yeah, that would be great. Once I've played with Paul McCartney and played with Budokan, or maybe played with Paul McCartney at Budokan, that would be
Yes.
kill two birds with one stone. That would be mega.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, thank you so much, man. We can't thank you enough for spending some of your afternoon and early evening with us. And the biggest thing for, of course, myself and Angel is that you had a good time, that you felt respected, you enjoyed the questions that were asked for you and that asked to you, and that you felt that this was worth your time.
Absolutely, Jay and Angel. It's been a lot of fun. The questions have been great, and it's been really nice to talk to you guys.
A pleasure. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on the upcoming album release. Congratulations on the new single tomorrow. And before we cut you loose, where can Lionheart and yourself be found on your socials?
That is nearly always Lionheart Rock. So if you type in Lionheart Rock, it will come up with our website, our Facebook page, our Instagram, our Twitter. So everything is Lionheart Rock. Sometimes with an underscore under there, but if you just type in Lionheart Rock, it'll come up with it.
Awesome. Well, again, Steve, thank you so very much. We really, really appreciate it. Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us, whether it was in the afternoon or the morning, depending on where you watched us. Me and Angel always appreciate your guys' support. So you guys have a great rest of your day. Announcement for next week's episode will come over the weekend, but make sure that you're following Angel at Angel Alamo 78 on Instagram. You can also find him on Facebook. You can find me at Salem.Vampire on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook as well. And you can definitely make sure that you're following the Metal Summit on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, especially Facebook and YouTube, because that's where these interviews are live at. That's where they're done. And that's where you're able to watch people like Steve Mann talk to us. So make sure that you guys are definitely following those pages so that you're able to see these interviews. And thank you guys so much as well. And on behalf of Steve Mann and Lionheart, and on behalf of Angel Alamo, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys next week, and you all take care. Be good to each other. Have a great week. As always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.
Rock.